Hey everyone, so over the last few weeks, we've seen a bunch of little AI updates pop up. And on their own, they might not seem like a huge deal. But if you kind of zoom out and look at them all together, wow, you start to see this massive trend. A real picture of where all this technology is going. We're watching something get built, piece by piece, that's way bigger than just a chatbot. So let's connect those dots.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question. Imagine for a second, what if ChatGPT was more like the App Store on your phone? Not just a place you go to ask it stuff, but a real platform, a central hub where all your other apps could plug right in. Sound like science fiction? Well, guess what? That future, it's already here.
And that leads us perfectly into our first big topic, because the most important change we've seen with ChatGPT lately, it's not some little feature. No, it's a fundamental shift in what the whole thing is. It is literally becoming an app store.
All right, so what are these apps really? The easiest way to think about it is that other services you already use now live directly inside ChatGPT. This means the AI can tap into their data, and this is the key part, it can actually use their tools and features for you, and you never have to leave that chat window. It's all happening in one place. And getting to them? Super simple. It's pretty obvious they designed it to feel just like downloading an app on your phone. You just pop into Settings, hit that Apps tab, and boom, you can browse this whole store of apps and connect them to your account.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Doesn't this sound a lot like the old plugin system? And yeah, it does, but there's a huge difference. Plugins were, well, they were clunky, right? It was a pretty shallow connection. A lot of the time, it would just shoot you a link to another website. These new apps, though, oh, they're way, way better. They bring all the functionality into the chat. So instead of getting a link to a travel site, now you can just book the flight right there. Big improvement.
So here's a real-world example. Let's say I'm writing a New Year's message to my team, getting them hyped for the year ahead. All I have to do is enable the Spotify app and just add a little line to my prompt like, hey, and create a playlist to go with this message, and bam! Just like that, it uses Spotify's actual tools to build a custom playlist, and it puts it right in my account. It's a small thing, but it's such a powerful demo of how deep this integration goes.
Okay, let's keep it real for a second. Is any single one of these apps a total game changer on its own? Not yet. I mean, making a Spotify playlist was never exactly rocket science. But that's not the point. The crucial thing to see here is that this is just step one. This is the foundation. This is the beginning of ChatGPT's evolution into a true universal assistant. Just think about it. A future where it's not just making your playlist, it's booking your flights, ordering your groceries, managing your calendar, all from one single conversation.
So, connecting to other apps is one thing, but it gets even crazier. ChatGPT isn't just looking outward, it's also starting to look inward, at you. It's starting to understand us on a really deep, personal level. And that brings us to our next point.
So you know how Spotify does that Wrapped thing at the end of the year? Well, OpenAI just dropped something very similar called A Year with ChatGPT. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. It analyzes every single interaction you've had with the AI for the whole year. And this is a really big deal because it shows that OpenAI isn't just trying to build the most powerful AI, they're trying to build the most personal. And let me tell you, the results can be pretty revealing. For me, it showed I was in the top 3% of all users based on how many messages I sent. That's about 18 messages every single day. And that really puts into perspective just how much data these things are collecting on us. I mean, do the math. That's over 6,500 messages in a year. That is a ton of data for an AI to learn from.
But it's not just the raw numbers, it's how it puts it all together. It looked at my year and identified my core themes as building systems and going from projects to platforms. It even figured out my most used prompt is, okay, what now? And then it slapped a persona on me, the strategist. And you know what? It was scarily accurate, like spot on. It's a fun little feature for sure, but it's also this powerful reminder that this thing is really getting to know us. And the better it knows us, the more personalized it can become. The possibilities are just endless.
Okay, let's shift gears completely. We've talked about how AI is getting more connected and more personal. But what about its creative side? Well, there's a new tool out there that is so powerful, it's honestly a little scary.
So this new model comes from a company called Quen, and it does something pretty mind-blowing. You can feed it any image, a photo, a poster, a website design, whatever, and it automatically rips it apart into all of its individual layers. It's kind of like how a musician can separate a song into just the vocals or just the drums. This does the same thing, but for images. You can just peel back each layer and see how the whole thing was built.
So why would you want to do that? Well, this is where it gets both fascinating and a little unsettling. Imagine being able to take any professional graphic design, a cool magazine cover, a viral YouTube thumbnail, and instantly deconstruct it. See exactly how it was made, layer by layer. It's basically reverse engineering for art. Now, this could be an incredible learning tool for sure, but it also opens up a huge can of worms about things like copyright and the value of creative work, right?
Look, the scary conclusion is pretty obvious. A tool like this could really devalue a lot of human creative effort. But let's be realistic, there's no stopping this kind of progress. It's just not going to happen. And that's really the whole point of what we do here, to show you this stuff as it's happening so you can understand it and get ahead of the curve. Because this creative AI curve, it's moving incredibly fast.
And here's maybe the most important thing to keep in your head when you see a tool like this that already works pretty well. Just remember this. This is the worst it will ever be. Right now, today. From this moment on, it's only going to get better, faster, and more powerful. And that thought is both incredibly exciting and, yeah, a little bit terrifying.
All right, let's switch it up again and do some quick hits, a little lightning round. These are a few other updates that really show how AI tools are starting to get super specialized for pros and power users. And trust me, these are pretty cool.
First, Claude's Chrome extension is now out for all paid users. This is a huge deal if you want to automate boring stuff you do in your browser. It's like giving the AI a remote control for the internet. Then we're seeing these really niche apps pop up, like one for real estate agents that has special tools just for virtual home staging. It's a perfect example of AI being tailored for very specific jobs. And finally, Google's Notebook LM now talks directly to Gemini and can export everything to Google Sheets. This shows how all these different products are starting to merge into one smooth workflow.
Okay, so let's take a breath. We've talked about ChatGPT turning into an app store, AI getting super personal, these crazy new creative tools, and specialized apps for pros. So what does it all mean? Let's tie it all together and figure out where this is all going.
The big picture here is this. We're moving away from thinking about AI as just a single tool and into seeing it as a whole ecosystem. First, you have integration, right? That's AI connecting to your other apps like Spotify. Then there's personalization, where it's learning your specific habits. Then specialization, with these niche tools for different jobs. And finally, convergence, where all these different products start to blend together into one experience.
So here's the bottom line. All of these little updates we've talked about, they're not random. They're like individual bricks being laid, one by one, to build something much, much bigger. What we are witnessing right now is the slow assembly of a universal AI assistant, one that will connect to literally everything we do. Think of it like a digital nervous system for your entire life, with AI right at the center.
And that leaves me with one final thought, a question for you. When this thing becomes a reality, this personal, all-knowing, all-connected AI assistant, what is the very first tedious, annoying task you're going to make it do? What's the first thing you're going to pawn off on it? Just something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.